everybody, and welcome to this week's Prophetic Trumpet. We are at the end of June. It is very, very warm. I'm not going to lie. It's very, very warm here in Texas. And, well, we want to thank God for that because it sure beats winter. That's for sure. Now, today, we're going to go in a direction that we had touched upon previously. And we're going to kind of renew some information that has come across regarding the days of Noah. Now, this is a phrase that Jesus uses and said that the end times would be like the days of Noah, or it would be the signs of the days of Noah, that is, that would indicate the end times. Now, there is new information that has come out from February 1st, 2026, an author by the name of Fabiana, boy, I hope I pronounced the last name right, Buontempo, that's Buontempo. This is from the New York Post. And this message, ironically, came about with something that I discovered here in Texas one fateful morning when the Smoking Hot pastor's wife and myself took out two very dear friends that are veterans of the United States Army, and we went to a facility that commemorates an incredible Texan, and actually an incredible American at that. We'll get to that at the end here, but and it kind of coincided and really inspired what it is we're talking about here today. So Fabiana published this February 1st, 2026, like I said, on the New York Post. The link is accessible there in the notes if you are looking for it and want to see it yourself. I'm going to read from this, then I'm going to go to another article that coincides that you're going to find very interesting about the days of Noah, because when we bring up the days of Noah, obviously there are certain things that come to mind. The mass amount of water, an ark, that kind of stuff, animals. But there's other things regarding the days of Noah that seem to be not really acknowledged, because whereas we know definitively where the ark is and where it is buried, that is, it has been undeniably discovered. There's been evidences found in archaeology to commemorate and to acknowledge that there was a global flood. There's certain other things, certain other aspects that are left out. But check this out. Historians, and I'm reading now, are scratching their heads at a resurfaced Egyptian scroll held by the British Museum that might support the claim that biblical giants were in fact real. Genesis chapter 6 of the Bible is about God's response to the widespread human wickedness and corruption which was supposedly caused by the Nephilim, powerful beings that were the sons of fallen angels and human women. It was these sons who were described as giant beings and referred to as men of renown that caused widespread chaos, which prompted God to cleanse the earth by destroying all creatures under the sky with flood waters. Now fast forward to Anastasia, a 3,300-year-old document that has been in a British museum since 1839 and has reignited the interest of the Associates of Biblical Research, a religious organization found in Pennsylvania. In this instance has historians and researchers believing that these men of renown, these giants, may have actually been real. The ancient document that is believed to be from the 13th century BCE, before Common Era, mentions, because heaven forbid you say before Christ anymore, mentions run-ins with the Shosu people, that's H-O-S-U, the Shosu people, who were supposedly 8 feet tall, which scared Israelites, as originally reported by the Daily Mail. The ancient document that is believed to be from 13th century connects the dots that Anastasia is proof beyond what is said in the Bible that giants did indeed exist. Numbers 13:13, a verse from the Old Testament, also hints at the Israelites coming across these large figures, saying, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come from the giants, and we were in our own sight like grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. The scroll, which researchers believe to be a letter written by a scribe, says, and I quote, "The narrow defile is infested with shoshu, concealed beneath the bushes. Some of them are 4 cubits or 5 cubits from head to foot, fierce of face, their heart is not mild, and they hearken not to coaxing." 4 cubits, end quote by the way, 4 cubits or 5 cubits tall translates to a figure close to 8 feet tall. Imagine the NF or the NBA jonesing for these folks. With that being said, historians remain skeptical. Well, of course they do, as there reportedly is no physical proof or archaeological evidence that giants once existed. Is that so? Well, let's dig a little deeper. And you're like, wait a minute, that's the other broadcast. Well, you're right, but that's okay. We dig deep here too. On the flip side, claims of super-sized human beings. I mean, we used to have hamburgers and french fries like that, right? But can't we have human beings like that? Well, the claims of these supersized human beings from Central America roaming a remote town 90 miles northeast of Reno, Nevada, are still baffling scientists all these years later. Now that's the end of the article. So then we're going to go to the Daily Mail, which is where some of this came from, and it speaks of this. And then we're going to get to what I discovered in a small town in Texas a few Saturdays ago on a field trip with some dear friends of ours, a brother and sister in Christ. Now, the Daily Mail article, I don't have the date down here, and that's very bad of me, but it's the label from the Daily Mail is "Stunned Archaeologists Probe Claims Giant Skeletons in Nevada Caves." So, sadly, I also do not have the author's name on here, which I should probably correct that for the sake of the notes, but nonetheless, then I'm going to go and we're going to, like I said, talk to you about the things we found here in Texas. So the article says, archaeologists have long been baffled about claims that a long-lost group of giant human beings that stood up to 10 feet tall once lived in the southwestern United States. Supersized human skulls, 15-inch sandals, and massive handprints have been uncovered in excavations inside a cave in Lovelock, Nevada, over the last century, which have continued to spark the curiosity of science and the public. The claims about these giants of Lovelock originated from Native Americans who told stories about a brutal tribe of pale-skinned, red-haired invaders who waged war on local groups before being trapped in a cave and exterminated. Well, geez, that sounds like they're Irish or Scottish to me. Oh, wait a minute, maybe not. Just my joke because my wife is Irish, and nonetheless. While the first artifacts linked the giants of Lovelock were uncovered in the early 1900s, stories about the giants continue to surface as experts and average people hope to finally uncover the truth. But it all started when a pair of miners first discovered the gigantic remains in 1911. They were searching for the excrement of birds or bats, which has long been a valuable source of fertilizer and a key ingredient in gunpowder, as they dug deep into the guano. You think your job's rough. Now, as they dig deep into the guano, which is this excrement that they're looking for, they found more than they bargained for, obviously. More than 60 human skeletons, and some of them were reportedly extraordinarily large, between 7 and 8 feet tall. One of the great finds has a skeleton found that was about 20 miles south of Lovelock, Nevada, showing that the body of which, it was a framework, was exactly 7 feet 7 inches tall. According to the 1935 biography of John T. Reed, a mining engineer who worked in Lovelock, Nevada, quote, "It is one of the giant men of an ancient race of which skeletons were unearthed in central Nevada," end quote. So, that being said, the article goes on to say there's no evidence of the find. Seems kind of strange how this guy finds it, but it's somehow disappeared. Makes you wonder. So since there's no evidence of the find, but excavation of the cave in 1912 and 24 revealed thousands of artifacts, many of these finds were as expected. There were baskets, duck calls, arrowheads, ceremonial objects carved into the shape of animals. But there were also some extremely odd findings, including gigantic sandals that appeared to have been worn. These shoes were about 15 inches long and would translate to a U.S. shoe size of 29. Radiocarbon dating later showed that the human remains and the plant material in the cave range from, you're going to ready for this, 2030 BC and 1218 BC. Another odd find was a handprint seemingly etched into the stone that appeared twice the size of the average human hand. Reports from these excavations seem to grow the size of the giants. As of 31, they were reportedly 8.5 to 10 feet tall, remarkably with red hair, a stark contrast from the local tribe of Native Americans. So you see how all this connects. Well, that being said, there's a landmark here, a museum actually, a great museum, in a little town in East Texas that commemorates the most decorated soldier in the United States history. He is also a Hollywood legend. He went into westerns and war movies back in his day. He died tragically at a very young age from a plane crash. His name is Audie Murphy. And Audie Murphy is a native Texan from Greenville, Texas. Now, I'm going to read to you because there's a museum, like I said, in Greenville, Texas for Audie Murphy, but it's not just for Audie Murphy. There's a lot more to it than just that, but it's called the Audie Murphy Museum in short. But there's something in that museum from there in the region that is really something that we need to understand. I'm going to show you a picture here. I'm going to read to you from a plaque that was inset above this portion of the picture that I'm going to show you after I read. This is quite the find that many people just kind of skip over, but for the sake of Days of Noah, makes you wonder. So John and Penelope Shields came to Hunt County from Alabama. So this from Alabama to Texas in 1868. They were the parents of 9 boys. Boy, those were the good old days. Including 4 of which became known as the Texas Giants. There was Gus and Frank, Jack and Shade. 2 of their sons died before coming to Texas. The remaining sons made their homes in Hunt County, including Kingston, Perry Valley, Celeste, and Fairlick, Texas. The Texas Giants, as they became known, became world famous. Did you catch that? Everybody knew about them. They became famous across the world when they toured with the Barnum and Bailey Circus for several years during the 1880s. Doesn't the time frame seem to fit here a little bit? Each of these boys were well over 7 feet tall, according to P.T. Barnum. So Shade, at the age of 18, was 7 foot 8 inches tall. Gus, at the age of 24, was 7 foot 10 inches tall. Frank, at the age of 22, was 7 foot 11 3/4 inches tall. And then there's Jack he's the second to last at age 20, was 7 foot 7 foot and 11 3/4 inches tall. Here they are. Let's get a close-up of that. These are the Texas Giants from approximately the 1880s. And just think, just a few, less than 10-hour drive away in Nevada, the skeletons of giants that science repeatedly denies existed. Because there's no evidence. But yet, we have this. World famous giants that traveled with Barnum and Bailey. Could the giants be reborn? Something to think about. We want to thank you for joining us for this week's Prophetic Trumpet. We hope you like and share the message, get the truth of God's Word out to the world around you. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and may the Lord bless you.